Hi, so I want to talk about last night's episode of the Dr. Phil show. I love Dr. Phil, but last night's episode had me practically shouting at the screen, and I'm going to explain why now. And it's this episode here called My Ex-Wife Believes She's Going Blind, Filed for Divorce from Me Behind My Back and Can't See. And this is... Here we have, okay, this is Jessica, this is the lady in question. So what's happened with her is that about, is it a few months ago, well, obviously it's longer than that because, it takes months for the episode to air. So, but what happened, she hit her head on a sideboard. It wasn't a serious injury or anything. But what happened since then is she's had pain in her eyes and general light sensitivity since then. So she fears she's going blind. She has pain whenever she looks at anything, to the point where she couldn't look at a drawing that her son had done. And as you can see, she's got dark glasses on there. For her, everything is too bright, even with the dark glasses on, she's saying. And she needs to be in pitch darkness. She says her vision becomes blurry and her eyes feel like they're crossing. Okay, and when this happens, what she does, and I've got a little video clip in here. Where are we? Not there, but here. Okay, she walks round and round in circles, so I'll just play this little clip. Okay, like that, with her, she puts her hands over the sides of her head. So she's just going round and round in circles. She says it helps the pain, and she says it helps to calm her down. What she also does is she rocks back and forth, and she does a sort of finger twitching to the side. The husband demonstrated it. It's not really a long enough clip to... but let's see. We might see it when she sits down here. Okay. Okay.
Something different about me, and that hurts me more than anything. This is our close relationship. And he drew a picture of me and him. And this is what he misses. When he says he just wants his mommy back. I want to come back too, Charlie.
Okay, it's good to meet you. And you have to be nervous coming out here, right?
Yes.
Okay, but I'm really proud of you for doing it.
Okay, we don't see the finger twitching there, but there was one where she sits down and she starts stimming. Okay, so that's what happens. So her husband also complains that she has had other health problems. She's been to lots of doctors and they've all told her nothing's wrong. So she had an injury after the birth of her first child, and it took a long time to get over it. And he's complaining, well, there was no bedroom activity because of that. A year ago, obviously it's going to be a bit longer, allowing for, when the programme actually airs. She broke her tailbone and couldn't get out of bed or anything. So she has had genuine injuries, and you know, so he's complaining the blindness comes and goes. She has days when she doesn't bath or shower, and obviously she's gone to lots of, you know, opticians, doctors about her eyesight, and she's had no joy. They've told her there's nothing wrong. Now on the face of it, you know, it does look like, oh, this lady's probably a hypochondriac, but okay. The walking round in circles, the finger twitching business, and the rocking back and forth, those are all autistic type behaviours. And the eyesight issues, those are actually eye strain issues. So the husband, when Dr. Phil interviews him, now the first thing he kicks up is, well, I've got poor eyesight. Without my glasses, I'm actually legally blind. But hold on, maybe you have got poor eyesight, sir, but you have stable vision. That is the difference. You know, who the hell do you think you are, you know, getting to say, oh, well, some of us have got real problems with our eyes. You don't get to judge who has a health problem, regardless of what your own problem is. Okay, that is just passing judgment. And just because this lady hasn't had any, you know, affirmation from opticians, and I'm going to go into why that is in a minute. It doesn't mean that her pain isn't genuine. Now, his mother is backing him to the hilt. I mean, he's very misguided, I think. He is at least trying to be supportive, but he does think she's a hypochondriac. She's saying, oh, I don't like Jessica. She's, you know, she's vain, she's lazy. I mean, what a piece of work. I'm sorry, this is the mother of your grandchildren. You should be supporting and helping her, okay, not passing judgment. Now, what he says is, well, when I met her, you know, eight years ago or whatever it was, oh, she was a wonderful mum, and the children, they just want their normal mum back. But hold on, the oldest child is 7. Do the math. So his story isn't adding up. You know, she was this wonderful person, but, you know, wonderful person, wonderful mother. But over 8 years, she's gone to 25 different doctors and had all these health dramas. At least what Jessica is saying is consistent. So anyway, Dr. Phil, he did send her for an eye test with a specialist. That was Dr. Patel at the Roski Eye Institute. And this is where I come out on this lady's side completely. So they went over all the things they tested: corneal, lens, anatomic tissues, inside eye, retina, optic nerve, structure of eye, peripheral vision, I mean, these are all the tests you would get at an optician, but just a bit more advanced at the eye hospital. I know because I've had these tests myself. And he said everything was fine, which I would agree with on that. But he said, oh, there's an anxiety overlay. So he's just basically said, this lady has nothing wrong with her eyes. No, sorry, Dr. Patel, she has nothing wrong with her eyes that would show up in your eye test. Because what you've tested is general eye health, and you've tested her central vision. Now, I see no mention of a cycloplegic test here. The cycloplegic test is, for those of you who don't know, is where they put drops in your eyes, which relax all of the muscles. You can use this to see if someone's long-sighted. Because she's got, eye strain and light sensitivity and doesn't want to look at things, that absolutely should have been tested. Dr. Patel, eye specialist at the Roski Eye Institute, why did you not do this test? Okay, so Dr. Phil, really Dr. Phil, actually I think you're great. I'm going to keep watching the Dr. Phil show but I'm sorry, this turned into the Dr. Fail show for me. I know how to deal with people like her. And later on you say, 50 eye tests wouldn't help. But his, what he goes with is it conversion disorder or somatic disorder. So that is basically all in the mind. So conversion disorder is, I think, where you've had where an emotional problem comes out as physical pain. So that might be a type of somatic disorder. I'm not sure if there was a real injury causing it and then turning into an emotional problem. But basically what he's saying is that this is an underlying emotional issue. Okay, Dr. Phil, you are so wrong. Okay, I do understand that you sent her to a top eye specialist. But so you are working and optics is not your field. I understand that. And a lot of eye medicine, a lot of understand. Okay, mid-rant. Eye health, that's why that went dark, really is not well understood by the optical industry, because they want to sell you glasses. But let's go over this list of the lady's symptoms. Okay, so she hit her head. It wasn't a bad injury, didn't require hospital treatment, I don't think. There wasn't even a mark. But there was an event. So these are the symptoms that Dr. Phil and Dr. Patel think is a somatic or an anxiety disorder. That she fears going blind. She has pain on like pain at looking at pictures her son has drawn. She needs to wear dark glasses because she has become extremely light sensitive. She needs pitch darkness. Her vision becomes blurry on and off. And she feels like her eyes are crossing. Okay, so stress and anxiety, they can cause problems with eyesight, but let's look at the problems they can cause. They can affect the focus, so that might account for things going blurry, because when you're stressed and you're in flight and fight mode, your central vision is what starts working, because you need to work with everything that's close at hand. You need to be able to work out that saber-toothed tiger that's coming at you right now. So it could exacerbate light sensitivity, and it can also make your vision worse, say if you're about 20/20, because suddenly you're focusing up close, instead of resting your eyes at distance. You're not going to be bothering with distance. So it can certainly do that. But what it won't do is it won't make your eyes crossed, because that is a convergence issue. That is something else entirely, Dr. Phil and Dr. Patel. And it won't cause pain because, again, that is eye strain. That is an issue with close viewing. Okay? So, why didn't Dr. Patel pick up the eye strain then, if the eye strain is genuine? Well, the very simple answer to that question is an eye test cannot, repeat, cannot measure overworked muscles or eye strain. I think even the physical tests of physical, if you've got repetitive strain injury, or you've, unless the muscle is really, really inflamed, there is nothing on this earth that can measure an overstressed muscle. And the ciliary muscles of the eye are tiny, tiny. There is nothing that can measure that those muscles are overstressed. Okay? Now, Dr. Phil actually does mention that, well, perhaps when you hit your head, it might have affected the ciliary muscles, but he actually doesn't take it any further. And he should have. He really should have. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to... Okay. So this lady demonstrates some autistic behaviours. Okay, the question there would be, well, why is she suddenly doing it now? Girls with autism, the signs are often a lot more subtle, so they will actually try and work out how to socialise and how to fit in. But whereas people normally just get the social cues, they will kind of work, you know, they'll be working things out. So this video here, Visual Perceptual Deficits in Autism, Why Assessment and Vision Therapy May Be a Vital Missing Piece. That is really well worth a watch. And this lady, she actually explains what, how the eyes differ in autism, and what is going wrong that your average eyesight test doesn't pick up. And one important point she makes is that our primary sense is our visual sense. So if that is out of whack, which I believe it is with, let's get Jessica back, which I believe it is with Jessica, then everything else is going to be out of whack as well. You know, the whole system, the eyes will be taking in too much information, the brain can't sort it out properly. So everything is overstimulated. So you're either going to be overstimulated or in shutdown. And so this is probably what she's doing when she's twirling round and round her room. So, okay, but why did this happen suddenly? I think possibly what happened is that the knock on the head, it did, you know, give the ciliary muscles maybe a little bit of a bump. Might have, you know, it might have loosened them. And then, you know, from being generally tight to going suddenly loose, she had to tighten up all over again. And that was a shock to the system. So, and I think at that point the brain probably clicked, "Ooh, the eyes aren't quite working properly." Did it happen suddenly then? No. This has been building for years, I suspect, and was probably, that was triggered by the fall against the sideboard. So what might have, I mean, the signs probably were there. Oversensitivity to pain after the birth of her first child. You know, they didn't have a sex life for 3 years. She broke her tailbone. She really couldn't get out of bed for the best part of a year. So that was probably that problem building anyway. Well, what has that got to do with the eyes, you might ask? Well, if her eyes are stressed, and in autism the eyes can be, and I'll come to that, but if her eyes are stressed, the muscles working overtime, the rest of the muscles in your body will be. So you've got overstimulation, so you're feeling everything more. That is actually going to lower her pain threshold. Okay, so Mr. Husband, her pain is genuine. It's just that she's feeling a lot more of it because her whole system is overstimulated. That is why she's wearing those dark glasses. Okay, so what should have happened at that eye test?
So you must
Whoop. And here we are. This is... Okay, this is also a fantastic watch. So this is Okay, this talk was given at a local TED event produced independently. Sight is something many of us take for granted, but as Cameron McCrodin shows, now he's got clinics, I think it's in the US, but might turn out to be... no, Canada. BC is British Columbia, isn't it? So I was really impressed with this. As Cameron McCrodin shows, there are many aspects of sight that are simply overlooked, and they have a massive impact on a quality of life. Cameron McCrodin is the founder of McCrodin Vision Development and Vision Therapy, Vision Development and Behavioural Optometry Clinic in Victoria, BC. Okay, so one thing he mentions is that, you know, he's had, you know, kids need vision therapy. They can hardly see, they can't draw, they can't read, they can't write, yet they score very well on a vision test. And he says what, like loads of people are saying, the vision test tests 5% of your vision. It doesn't test your peripheral vision, which many of these kids may be relying on. It only, and yeah, this lady had a peripheral vision test, not much of one, I'll bet. The peripheral vision test just checks that it's working okay. It doesn't tell you what's actually going on with it. So being able to change focus, being able to hold focus near and far, being able to move your eyes. I mean, he's got a list of about 20 different types of vision that all need to be working together for our eyes to function properly. An eye test, even, you know, with a specialist at a hospital, will test really one of those types of vision. And as this guy said, you know, if some of these aren't working, it's like putting a load of bicycles, you know, in a school playground, and some of them are broken, and expecting the same performance of all of the children. You know, assuming the children are all perfectly fit and healthy and able to ride a bicycle. The ones with the broken bicycles obviously can't perform. Anyway, that is, it's called Overlooking Our Vision by Cameron McCrodin. It is a really good video. Do watch it. So back to okay. So why is this lady so stressed? Actually, if you look at her when she comes on Dr. Phil, she actually has a very stiff posture. You know, something is definitely going wrong. It's more like she's not comfortable in her own body at that point. Whereas previous pictures, she's relaxed, she's a lot happier. And we're back to the fact that this problem is crept up on her. I think this problem has crept up on her over the years. I think she may be a bit long-sighted, but that's just because that is my particular thing. But a lot of the things that she's exhibiting, they do look like this. And okay, I was this lady. That's why I'm rooting for her. And bless her, when I had all the problems with opticians, and I had a genuine problem, like I believe she does, I did not have 2 kids to take care of as well. So my heart goes out to this lady, because you can see she just wants to be better. Why is she afraid she's going blind? Well, basically, because she's getting rubbish feedback. There's plenty of people who go to the doctor, they've got a problem, but the doctor doesn't explain it or brushes them off, and then they go home and they fear the worst. You know, there's nothing particularly abnormal about that, actually. I don't think she is going blind. I don't think she's got a serious problem. I do think she's got a simple problem. And her husband, Dr. Phil, Dr. Patel, they are taking her down the wrong path. She's not going to get better with what they're offering. I'm sorry, Dr. Phil, but you are wrong here. What this lady needs is an eye test with someone like this lady here who understands about autistic eyes, or with someone like, what was he called? Phil McCormack. I've forgotten his name already, but I've said it before. So they need, you know, she needs a proper test that take autism into consideration, that take long-sightedness into consideration, and that takes how autistic eyes function a bit differently into consideration. So that is by someone who actually specialises in autism and eyesight. She really needs that, because I think that would explain a lot of things to her, which would, you know, cut down her anxiety to start with, so she'd be able to function better. And with the right eyesight help, that would just so completely help her, because you know, like the husband moans, well, she hasn't taken a bath. I wasn't taking baths. I didn't want to be dirty. I just didn't want to faint in the bathtub, because the glare of the water was making me feel dizzy. So I had to, you know, wait until it was dark before I got into a bathtub. And with the shower, I didn't have a shower, but the odd times that I was in a place with a shower, the walls, you know, shiny walls with water coming off them, they were about, 15 inches away? I had severe eye strain every waking minute of the day before I got plus glasses, and then it magically disappeared. So I can understand what this lady is going through. What happens? So you go, well, isn't long-sightedness and anxiety two different things? Well, you don't always know if you are long-sighted. It's one of these things that can creep up because your eyes naturally work quite hard to see things at close. So, you know, those of us who are long-sighted, it's very easy for us to slip under the radar because we're just used to making a lot more effort to see everything. And you know, a lot of the times we manage, and it kind of comes out in other ways, like, you know, you can't concentrate properly, or you can get like an anxiety disorder. That's quite a common one. Or you can get like aches and pains, and I mean, I was getting like weird allergies, and because your system is, I was actually doing the stimming, like this lady was doing, and it wasn't something I ever did growing up, but as my central vision was getting more and more stressed, I kind of needed to do it, because I kind of needed to keep reminding myself where I was. And obviously a simple pair of plus glasses, you know, it kind of changed everything overnight, and I just became kind of like normally functional, and that was great. Anyway, to wrap it up, I really hope that Jessica, she does get the help she actually needs, and I hope she has people who can support her. I think she got a bit of a bum rap in that programme, and yeah, if she's still struggling, I would suggest do stick to your guns about this, Jessica. You know, see if you can find an eye specialist who does deal in autism. See if you can get a proper autism test, and you know, to be honest, you're in that much pain. If you're ever, you know, if you're still in that amount of pain, if you're ever just walking past, you know, a pharmacy, or you know, any shop that's got plus glasses for reading, just pop in, just try a pair on for size and see if it, you know, makes things calmer for you. It won't hurt. The worst thing about it is that it won't work. But anyway, I really hope for the best for you, Jessica. I hope you get better. And I hope, you know, that people are supporting you. Okay, this has been a bit of a long one, so that's my rant about Dr. Phil for today. Still love Dr. Phil, by the way.